Hello, everybody, and welcome to Under the Arc Sports. My name is David Woldingen, and today I'm going to be talking BattleHawks football. However, before I do, please remember to hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook, Instagram pages, and check out our Twitter feed as well. Folks, the BattleHawks are 3-1. They finally had their first home game, and boy, was it a wild ride. I'm not going to break down the game or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you it was a lot of fun in person to be there. The stadium was deafening on the inside. St. Louis set an attendance record for spring football with a little over 38,000 fans for a spring football game. And let me tell you, it was playoff type atmosphere, if you will. The crowd was loud, rowdy, and quite honestly, just a lot of fun. This is a very good thing in the sense that now that St. Louis is 3-1, they're playing the only team they lost to, the DC Defenders, this upcoming Saturday at 6 p.m. And it is in St. Louis. For those of you who don't remember, St. Louis lost to them not last week, but the week before that. And the game ended in a little bit of a scrum with a couple players being ejected due to throwing punches and whatnot. Kind of put a mar on an otherwise pretty good, entertaining football game. With the home field advantage, I think St. Louis has a shot at getting revenge against DC, and it's going to be a wild and fun ride. As we take a look at this game, I'm going to break it down a few stats for you guys. And the first set of stats are defensively, and quite honestly, I didn't realize that it was quite this bad defensively, but evidently it is through the stats. So far in the season, the BattleHawks are 7th in total defense out of 8 teams. I didn't realize they were giving up that much yardage-wise. Another thing that's kind of eyebrow-raising but important to note is they are dead last in sacks. They only have 5 on the season. I will say, watching the game this last weekend against the Renegades, I believe they only registered 1 sack, and they didn't have a lot of pressure on the quarterback, so I can kind of see that the way this defense plays is kind of a bend but don't break style defense. And so teams are getting 2 and 3 first downs on each drive, but then stalling out, which then gives the ball to St. Louis and they take advantage offensively. And I'll get into that in a minute. On a good note, defensively, though, they are 3rd in interceptions and 1st in forced fumbles with 7. So the turnover ratio is kind of what's saving this defense so far this year. And then offensively, they've been able to take advantage of some of these turnovers and get ahead in the game and make teams play catch up, which while the teams are still getting used to their offenses, they're not quite ready to play catch up when they're forced to play from behind. St. Louis has shown they can do that with those 2 comeback games, but that's not something you want to live on and die on. Now, true to form offensively, there was another slow start against the Renegades this last weekend. St. Louis didn't score their first touchdown until like the last 2 minutes of the first quarter. They did have a field goal before that, but again, it was kind of a defensive battle until the offense could really get clicking. Now, it's worth noting the offense did move the ball a lot better again this last week. And part of the reason is Brian Hill coming back in. He missed a game or two due to a hamstring issue, but boy, has he come back in full force. He has 176 yards rushing, averaging about 5 yards a carry, which is huge for this team. And then Mateo has 24 carries for 65 yards as the second running back coming in now. Brian Hill, just by missing 2 games, still is 4th overall in rushing. That's how impressive he has been. Um, and I gotta say kudos to the offensive line too, because they have been improving every single game. This last game they didn't allow a single sack on McCarron, and I don't remember him being pressured a whole lot. I know he took a few hits standing in there making some throws, but for the most part, he wasn't under pressure all game. He could pretty much move around and do what he needed to do. Offensively, to continue that note, AJ McCarron's still throwing about 65% on the year, which in my last video, that's where he was too. But now he has 850 yards, 3 interceptions, and 9 touchdowns. His quarterback play is ranked third in the league so far, which at the same time matches the team record overall, which isn't much of a coincidence because you can't win games without offense. Some other stats offensively for receiving. You got 4 decent receivers now, and I'm including Brian Hill because he's kind of a dual threat back in the backfield. He has 9 receptions with 101 yards and a touchdown. Austin Prohl is third receiving with 14 receptions on 124 yards. Darius Shepard has 161 yards off 17 catches with 1 touchdown. And then the beast of a receiver or tight end or whatever you want to call him, Hakeem Butler, has 241 yards, 4 touchdowns off 20 quick catches. The dude's just flat out balling, which I love to see. Overall, this team is second in passing touchdowns. And offensively, overall, though, they're still ranked 4th in the league. Now, I mentioned earlier that the offensive line had only given up like one, or they didn't give up a single sack during this last game. They have been improving every game. Brian Hill had a great rushing game against Arlington. The way the line has been playing is been allowing the offense to open up, and they've been improving overall each game. One thing I noticed this last game that St. Louis was doing was a ton of motion in the backfield, a lot of misdirection plays, some jet sweeps, some play action rollouts by McCarron. One of the touchdown plays he even called an audible and changed the route for one of his receivers to run a corner route, which ended up being a touchdown play. This motion offense that they ran against Arlington, I expect to see this for the rest of the year, and it'll be interesting to see if DC is ready for it, because I don't think they were able to run it quite as well against DC, and they made some adjustments after that. And then with those adjustments came how they played Saturday. I think they're going to continue that and continue against DC. One of the things DC does well with their defense is they like to bring pressure and do a lot of blitzes. So I could even see St. Louis playing a quick passing game like screens and quick slants up the middle, which would open up the running game. And with Brian Hill's ability to run as well as catch, that just causes one more person DC has to watch out for and cover. And it gives AJ another outlet to relieve stress if he's under pressure. His experience is going to allow him to read DC's defense. And in my opinion, he showed it last time against DC too, where he was able to make quick reads and quick passes. The biggest thing, if they want to beat Washington, though, is not Washington. They go by DC. But if they want to beat the DC defenders this time around, though, they can't turn the ball over 4 times. They have to win the turnover battle both offensively and defensively. You can't win a game when you turn the ball over 4 times. That's just too many times. The odds are completely against you if you do something like that. However, they showed even in that game when they turned the ball over 4 times, the offense was good enough to keep them in it for the most part. So if they take care of the ball this time around, I think you're going to see a completely different game unfold. And with massive home field advantage you're going to get in the dome with the noise that the St. Louis crowd brings. It's not going to be 48,000 in there, or 38,000, excuse me, in there. And that's mainly because St. Louis City is going to have a soccer match starting at 7 o'clock that night. So you're taking some of the fans away. I still expect close to 31,000 in that place, screaming their heads off. And it's going to make it a very, very tough environment for DC to play in, which they haven't played in yet, to be honest. Most of them, every one of these XFL games hasn't had that environment. The closest one I could say would be San Antonio. They had a crowd of 24,000, but it wasn't like here in St. Louis where at one point people were saying it got up to 110 decibels in that arena, which is when your ears start really hurting because it's so loud. So I think in retrospect, if they can take care of the ball, force a few turnovers on their own, and if the offense has been playing like they did this last week with the misdirection, the line holds up, and AJ has a clean, good game like he's been doing every game except that DC game, quite honestly. I think they're going to come away with this with maybe a couple, I'm not going to say touchdown, but a couple score lead going into the fourth, if you will. I know this team's going to be pumped. They're going to be ready. The crowd's going to be ready because this is a rivalry now. If they pull this win off, they're in the driver's seat as well. They have home field advantage in the playoff game to get into the championship. So the game Saturday has a lot of meaning. Make sure you take. I hope everybody goes. If they have a chance to go down, go to the game. If not, watch it, enjoy it, and we'll continue to cover St. Louis Battlehawks no matter what happens. And stay tuned with Under the Arch Sports, and we'll keep you up to date with all Battlehawk information. Thank you for watching, guys.